The Swing by the Lake by Anonymous. There was an old hag of a woman who lived with her daughter-in-law and her husband, with their son and a little orphan boy. When her son-in-law came home from hunting, it was his custom to bring his wife the moose's lip, the kidney of the bear, or some other choice bits of different animals. These the girl would cook crisp, so that the sound of their cracking could be heard when she ate them. This kind attention of the hunter to his wife aroused the envy of the old woman. She wished to have the same luxuries, and, in order to obtain them, she at last resolved to kill the young wife. One day she asked her to leave her infant son to the care of the orphan boy and come out and swing with her. The wife consented, and the mother-in-law took her to the shore of a lake, where there was a high ridge of rocks overhanging the water. Upon the top of these rocks the old woman put up a swing, and, having fastened a piece of leather round her body, she commenced to swing herself, going over the precipice each time. She continued this for a short while, and then, stopping, told her daughter-in-law PG 120 to take her place. She did so, and having tied the leather round her, began to swing backwards and forwards. When she was well going, sweeping at each turn clear beyond the precipice, the old woman slyly cut the cords and let her drop into the lake. She then put on some of the girl's clothing, entered the lodge in the dusk of the evening, and went about the work in which her daughter-in-law had been usually occupied at such a time. She found the child crying, and, since the mother was not there to give it the breast, it cried on. Then the orphan boy asked her where the mother was. "She is still swinging," replied the old woman. "I will go," said he, "and look for her." "No," said the old woman, "you must not. What would you go for?" In the evening, when the husband came in, he gave the coveted morsels to what he supposed was his wife. He missed the old woman, but asked nothing about her. Meanwhile the woman ate the morsels and tried to quiet the child. The husband, seeing that she kept her face away from him, was astonished and asked why the child cried so. His pretended wife answered that she did not know. In the meantime the orphan boy went to the shores of the lake, where he found no one. Then he suspected the old woman, and, having returned to the lodge, told the hunter, while she was out getting wood, all he had heard and seen. The man, when he had heard the story, painted his face black, and placed his spear upside down in the earth, and PG 121 requested the Great Spirit to send lightning, thunder, and rain, in the hope that the body of his wife might arise from the water. He then began to fast, and told the boy to take the child and play upon the lake shore. Meanwhile, this is what had happened to the wife. After she had plunged into the lake, she found herself in the hold of a water tiger, who drew her to the bottom. There she found a lodge, and all things in it as if arranged for her reception, and she became the water tiger's wife. Whilst the orphan boy and the child were playing on the shore of the lake one day, the boy began to throw pebbles into the water, when suddenly a gull arose from the center of the lake and flew towards the land. When it had arrived there, it took human shape, and the boy recognized that it was the lost mother. She had a leather belt around her and another belt of white metal. She suckled the baby, and preparing to return to the water, said to the boy, "Come here with the child whenever it cries, and I will nurse it." The boy carried the child home and told the father what had occurred. When the child cried again, the man went with the boy to the shore and hid himself behind a clump of trees. Soon the gull made its appearance with a long shining chain attached to it. The bird came to the shore, assumed the mother's shape, and began to suckle the child. The husband stood with his spear in his hand, PG 122, wondering what he had best do to regain his wife. When he saw her preparing to return to the lake, he rushed forward, struck the shining chain with his spear, and broke it. Then he took his wife and child home. As he entered the lodge, the old woman looked up, and when she saw the wife, she dropped her head in despair. A rustling was heard in the place. The next moment the old woman leaped up, flew out of the lodge, and was never heard of more. PG 123.